heading home right now. It was pouring the last 2 days, so I got to be a little careful here on the road. But figured I'd kill 2 birds with 1 stone and record some videos while I drive. That's one of the beautiful things about having a dash cam in your car. If you make videos, I mean, why not make a video? Why not make the driving experience more creative instead of just listening to music or whatever else people do while they drive, smoke, you name it. But not a big fan of driving. I do believe that there are so many other alternative forms of transportation that should be available to the public, but they're not, because they really don't make money. Free energy doesn't make money, and this universe literally runs on free energy. But us as humans, now that we've been turned into this limited being, this slave species, we drive these cars that we have to have a job just to keep up the maintenance on the cars. We have to have a job to make money to put gas in the cars. And you know, the oil industry is so corrupt. The automobile industry is so corrupt. It's unfortunate. I may sound like a hypocrite because I'm driving a vehicle, but I do know that with the Merkaba, the human light body vehicle, nourished in actually breathing and online, we can actually bilocate and teleport. But you know, you may be saying, oh, but bro, if that's possible, why aren't you doing it? Because to think that in this indoctrinated culture we can walk around with our Merkabas activated and have all these gifts in the West bestowed unto us, it's not an easy thing to do. I've experienced glimpses of what the Merkaba is like. I've experienced glimpses of what real full-blown Kundalini awakenings are like. I've felt what it's like to have Christ consciousness, real Christ consciousness, not this New Age movement Christ consciousness where you think you're just enlightened because you do yoga and you eat a vegan diet. No, it's much more complicated than that. However, I do think and I do believe that eating a vegan diet, eating vegetarian, eating as plant-based as you can will help your health. And the Merkaba and health go hand in hand. So if you do want to go about undertaking the alchemy of re-nourishing this Merkaba through breath work, etc., you, in my opinion, are going to want a healthy vehicle, your body. And the cleaner you can get your tissues, the less waste you can get out of your colon that's constipating you to death, the closer you're going to be, in my opinion, to attaining these states of consciousness and being able to have the fire of Kundalini stay kindled and lit 24/7, 365. I mean, that's the dream of mine. Excuse me. The highest aspiration I have for myself is to get back into a Christed state through the activation and arousal of Kundalini, where it can stay burning. The flame of Kundalini can anoint my body and stay lit and constantly bestow the gifts of it unto my experience through this physical body. I hope that makes sense. I'm a little worked up right now. I had a kind of an emotional morning, but trying to make some videos, trying to stay creative. Super thirsty. I know I've talked about glycine in the past. I just stopped taking glycine for about 2 weeks and I started taking it again. And I do love the way that this vegan amino acid does make me feel. I like taking it before sleep and I like taking it in the morning. If you are interested in supplementing with amino acids, you do need to be careful, however, because many of the amino acids on the market are not vegan and are not vegetarian. In fact, the way that they synthesize many of these non-vegetal based amino acids is very disgusting. So I'm amazed and jaw-dropped and disgusted at how much we use and rape and destroy the animal kingdom so that we can try to have some health benefits or this and that from some animal-derived supplements or some of this other shit, milk and all this other garbage. What makes you think that you're going to derive health benefits out of something that is the byproduct of torture? I've never really been able to understand that. How the fuck does the rational mind, I wouldn't call it the rational mind, because we live in a world where common sense is not common, and rationality and common sense go hand in hand. So most people are operating on their irrational minds, and that's why they lean to consuming torture to attempt attempt to attain health benefits from doing that. I'm at the point right now in my life where even the thought of animal flesh makes my gag reflexes stimulated. Even the thought and smell of eating this shit, or smelling it, no, not a fan. But to each his own. We do live in a world where free will is a commonplace thing, but do you really have free will? Because if you knew what your real experience was supposed to be like, if you knew the divine potential that you had within your physiology to activate these dormant centers in your body, these energetic centers, there are so many mysteries and miracles within the organ system of your body, the glandular system, the tissues, the blood. We've been reduced to a slave race. A slave race. And I'm not afraid to get on here and say that. It's the truth. We are a slave race. And the only way, in my opinion, that you're going to be able to know that is if you do have an experience with some form of higher consciousness, whether that be a full-blown Kundalini awakening, or you can meditate to the point where you attain Samadhi or Nirvana, or you can actually get your mind back, your clarity. And the only way that you're going to get clarity is if you do experience enlightenment. In my opinion, there was a day back in Atlantis, you name it, where enlightenment was the common consciousness. It was not abnormal to have enlightenment. Here in the West, it's like enlightenment is the sought after thing within the New Age movement. Most people think that it's very uncommon to ever have or achieve enlightenment in their 1 to 100 years that they have here on Earth. And most of the people, including myself, who have experienced Kundalini, the enlightenment process, it's only for short periods of time. We don't have the physical fortitude within our physiology to be able to handle the direct current energy from the earth, also known as Kundalini. It drives the irrational mind insane. So the truth of nature, also known as enlightenment, actually drives the irrational mind insane, because the irrational mind has been filled with so many different engrams and so many different guilt complexes that for you to experience Christ consciousness, also known as Kundalini consciousness, I mean, it shatters every little belief system that you've built about who you are and what your purpose is here on earth, you name it. And that drives people insane. And that's why there is a very real thing called Kundalini syndrome. And that's why many people, including myself, have a very difficult time integrating. After an awakening, it can be very difficult to integrate that experience into the normal life, where slavery is the common consciousness, or the 9-to-5 work schedule is what everyone's just more than eager to fucking give their time to. The workaholic culture is here, my friends, and it's not good work. Having to work to be able to put food on your table, that is not the way that Eden was designed. Food is supposed to be free. Proof of that is the fact that when you pick a fucking apple off of a tree out here in Eden, when you eat it, there's seeds in that fucking apple, and you can germinate those seeds and do Earth a service by replanting those seeds. And one apple can lead to 5 other apple trees, and those 5 apple trees can lead to 500 more apple trees. And before you know it, you have hundreds of thousands of apple trees nourishing mankind, feeding the earth and the atmosphere oxygen, you name it. But that's not how it works here in hell. You pay out the ass for organic fruits and vegetables, which are sprayed with organic pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, you name it. They're fed water that's fluoridated, filled with cobalt, algicides, different chlorine compounds, chloramines, hydrofluorosilicic acid, fluoride, the byproduct of the aluminum phosphate industry, which was sold as rat poison in the past. But now it's cheaper for the fluoride industry, the phosphate industry. It's cheaper for them to dump this stuff into our water supply than it is to get rid of it, because it's very expensive to dump this stuff. So it's crazy, man. And getting fluoride out of the water is not an easy thing, even with distillation. The fluoride compound is so small that it fits right through the filter membrane. So all these people who think that they have clean water using RO systems and all this other shit, no, you just don't. In order to get fluoride out, it's a lengthy very lengthy alchemical process of transmutation. You're transmuting water, you're removing all the dross from the water, separating the holy matter from the inorganic, unholy matter, which, if you drink this stuff, builds up in your tissues. All these compounds in the tap water, even in filtered water, are accumulative poisons, meaning they accumulate. Over time, they accumulate in your tissues. They get stuck in the fine filtering mechanisms of your body. And due to the fact that they accumulate, they get stuck there, and they're not easy to remove, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this video right now, chances are you've been heavily fluoridated. You've been hit hard with chlorine and chlorine compounds, destroying the integrity of your gut flora and your tissues, ladies and gentlemen. So again, isn't that crazy that fluoride was once sold as rat poison? But it's easier and more cost effective for them to dump it into the city's water supply than it is to dump it properly, because that's how greedy they are. If you had any clue the nefarious nature of the people that are running the show right now, the secret societies, etc., the bankers, it would make your head spin. So there is, in my opinion, a deliberate ploy to dumb down the population, to keep them from ever evolving into what they were designed to be. But this is the game. This is the Masonic game. They're playing a game with you. And that is why the checkerboard is so heavily abundant in the Masonic and Freemasonry, and in many of these secret societies. The thing about secret societies is that they directly tell you publicly what they're doing, but they do it in a cryptic way. But they think that you're so goddamn stupid that you won't be able to decipher the game that they're playing with you. And that's why I can't feel that much hate towards these people, because they're directly telling the public what they're doing to us with our health, with the eugenics, with the vaccinations, with the genetically modified food, with the chemtrail geoengineering aerosols. They're telling us they're playing a game. But most of us are too busy playing Scrabble or playing Monopoly or playing video games to realize that you are being played with. This is a game here. Life is a game. And a very fascinating one indeed. I view the game as, okay, I'm being toxified. They are destroying my health. They're doing everything to keep me from evolving into a Christed being. And the game is to harbor discipline and question everything that they're doing. Because this is a spiritual war, ladies and gentlemen. And you need to be 2 steps ahead of the beast if you don't want to become the beast, which is what they're doing. They're taking people's genetics and they're manipulating them. It's that simple. So many people say, oh, dude, aren't you afraid of all these secret societies and the Rothschilds, Rockefellers, Carnegies, you name it, and all these secret societies, what they're doing to us? No, I'm not, because they're dumb enough to diabolically and publicly announce everything that they're doing. But it's hidden. It's not in the mainstream media. It isn't in the mainstream books in the libraries. This stuff isn't being taught in the public school system, also known as the public fool system, which means hell. School is hell. The schools that our youth are attending are actually separating them from their divinity. And it's so jaw-droppingly diabolical that it's better for most of the slaves here on earth. I'm not trying to be a dick by saying that. It's easier for them to just remain ignorant to it, because it would drive the average person insane if they knew how much of an X-Files episode we're living in, ladies and gentlemen. We're living in a science fiction novel, and that's an understatement. But it's fun, in my opinion, to take the role as the healer, to take the role as the warrior, and say no to all the bullshit, and to do everything in your power to try to walk the opposite direction of the herd. Because the herd is like a stampede of people running 1,000 miles an hour off a cliff, never even knowing that they ran off a cliff until they looked down. See, the public is like a rat in one of those mice wheels. They're running, and they don't know that they're going nowhere, man. But it is what it is. And, you know, I don't mean to sound rude or hateful towards humanity, but humanity is lost heavily. And that's why I advocate the usage of herbs. That's why I advocate getting some books on alchemy. Just start making your own planetary spagyrics, your own planetary tinctures. Start getting some natural direct current back into your body by standing barefoot on the earth. Start drinking more water. Start drinking tea. But don't drink the system's tea that you get at the supermarkets. Go out and forage your own teas. Buy expensive teas that haven't been adulterated with all the bags that are filled with fluoride and all the other shit. See, the beast is so smart, it's 2 steps ahead of the people. It knows that people who want to get healthy are dangerous to the continuity of its bullshit. So it deliberately spikes health foods with poisons so that the people wanting to get their power back, the people wanting to cleanse and detoxify, by default, by consuming these products that the beast has marked as health foods, you download the bad health from these Trojan horse systems. It's fascinating. As much, I don't admire the beast, but I'm jaw-dropped at how intelligent it is and how it just never sleeps, man. It is constantly plotting and scheming like Saruman or Sauron in the Lord of the Rings movies, or the agents in the Matrix films. But I've accepted what life is like here on Earth. I've accepted that there is an enemy, and I've also accepted that I'm willing to sacrifice myself to do everything that I can to not be what the enemy wants me to be, which is a half-baked moron that resembles a fried egg in a chair. The only way you're going to be able to understand these statements and not think that I'm being a judgmental prick is if you understand the type of consciousness that we were designed to experience and how far we've fallen from that into these little antlings for this system, for the Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the Carnegies, the pharmacopoeia, the different sorcerers that have worked their sorcery with their talismanic words and their symbols. They've worked it on you heavily, from all the cartoons, the childhood television watching. It's insane how the mind can be controlled with symbols, sacred symbology. Only way you're going to know that is if you realize and understand and research and they use sacred symbols in a negative, evil way, because the sacred symbology, sacred geometry is very close to our hearts as human, because we were literally designed from sacred geometric principles. That's how we were erected in the womb, the splitting of the cells, you name it. This is all geometry. This is a mathematical experience. So they use pyramids because it resonates with your unconscious mind. Deep down inside, you know what that pyramid is, but they use it in a negative way so that they can control you like sheep. Because we've lost our compasses. They use the Merkaba in a negative way. They use the Vesca Pisces in a negative way. They use all these different logos. It's insane. I probably sound like a crazy person to the individual who is not privy to these concepts and these things I'm discussing, but it is what it is, man. But this video is going to shut off soon, so I'm going to wrap it up. On behalf of the Sacred Starseed Serpent Uraeus YouTube channel, thank you for watching this video. If you want to support me, please go down in the GoFundMe link and donate if that's something you'd like to do. I greatly appreciate donations of all sizes. You can also buy crystals from me to make your